Happy Friday, North Texas. I'm Scott, and I am flying solo this week. Today is Friday, September 26th, and things are very busy around here, so I wasn't able to line up a co-host this week, but we've got a great episode to finish out the month. Before we get to this week's interview, let's check in with Zach Babb for the Mean Green Minute.
Mean Green Soccer fell to Charlotte 3-2 yesterday. The Mean Green scored in the opening minute off of a goal from Mia Bernard before Charlotte added two more. North Texas would tie the game on a Rachel Roebuck penalty kick goal in the 62nd minute before Charlotte would take the lead for good in the 72nd minute. North Texas now sits at 4-7-1 on the season. After a 10-2 non-conference schedule, volleyball now turns their attention to American play this weekend with a pair of matches at home against conference foes Charlotte and UAB. Those games take place Friday at 6 p.m. against the 49ers, and the Blazers are in town Sunday at 1 p.m. After a thrilling overtime win over Army last weekend, football is back at home as they search for their first true 5-0 start since 1959 as they welcome South Alabama into Denton. The game gets going at 11 a.m. You can watch it on ESPNU or listen to the call on the Mean Green Sports Network from Learfield. Or, of course, you can be at the game yourself. Again, it starts at 11 a.m. Saturday at DATQ Stadium.
Thanks as always, Zach. Loving this perfect start to the football season with 4 thrilling wins. Here's hoping for another one at home against South Alabama tomorrow. For more athletics coverage, check out Zach's other podcasts, GMG Cast and This Week in Mean Green Sports. This week we're bringing back one of my favorite segments from last year, Eagles Abroad, where we talk to UNT students about their study abroad experiences. Quick note to our listeners that this interview was recorded in April of 2024. When I first had the idea for this segment, I interviewed several students over the span of a couple weeks, and this one just hasn't been released yet. But it was a great chat that I didn't want to go to waste. So here's my interview with Sydney, a chemistry major who's now a senior and will be graduating in May of 2026. But when I interviewed her, she had just returned from studying abroad in Thailand. You know, part of what I want to do with this series is kind of make study abroad more accessible to people and you know, for anybody who thinks they can't make it happen. And part of that is financial aid. So I'm curious, did you happen to get any financial aid or assistance to be able to pay for this?
I did. I applied for one of the study abroad scholarships and it really, really helped. There were a couple, but I just applied for one and it really helped. And also it was great that my scholarship that I already had at UNT also transferred over. So I didn't lose the scholarship that I had applying to UNT, and I also got more financial help from the study abroad office. And I know that there wasn't anything particularly in my major, but there are a lot of departments at UNT that do offer scholarships for if you're in a specific major or minor that I think really helped some of my friends.
Excellent. And what made you want to study abroad? What made you want to, look into this and try it out?
I always kind of imagined traveling around the world once I have a career, trying to find a job that let me travel, let me work from anywhere. But my biggest fear, not enjoying living other places, because I've only lived in America my entire life, and I kind of wanted to see how I would handle living in another place, going to school, what it would be like, and I just wanted to have a new experience and kind of push myself out of my comfort zone, do something that scared me a little bit, and I talked to some people that had studied abroad, and I talked to the department here at UNT, and I just fell more and more in love with the idea the more people I talked to about it.
Nice. And so you're back in the States now, right?
Yes, I got back, about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And how long was your program? How long were you over there for?
I was there for about 3.5 months.
And you were in Thailand, is that correct?
Yes, I was in Thailand.
What part of Thailand were you in?
Just about an hour, hour and a half outside of Bangkok. It's
Okay.
province called Nakhon Pathom. It's really close to Bangkok. It's close to a lot of other provinces. It was a bit of a smaller city that the university is placed in, but it's close to your major cities there in Thailand.
Okay. And then you mentioned being a chemistry major. What did you go there to study? Was it anything chemistry related, or was it some other stuff? What kind of courses did you take while you were there?
Yeah, so I went there as a chemistry major. It was nice that I could stay within my major because that was one of my biggest fears looking through the study abroad options. It's great the study abroad department here at UNT tells you what majors different colleges offer and what they kind of excel in, which was really great in narrowing down my options. And so I got to go there as a chemistry major and I took some basic like extracurricular classes like language and things like that, but I got to take a really, really interesting class that does fall within my major called Plants, Peoples, and Poisons, and we just
Hmm.
kind of studied, it was 2 different professors, one professor taught, uh, peoples and poisons, and one taught plants, and peoples and poisons was my favorite because it did have that science aspect to it.
Yeah.
She's a my professor was a toxicologist, she's a doctor, she's a professor. She was amazing, and we talked about kind of everyday plants, and how they are used as poisons, how they are used as antidotes, and kind of the places people are in life, how, the class system that you are in can affect the likelihood of being poisoned, people that are in different situations in life, and how to avoid poisoning, and how to be knowledgeable about everyday plants that are around you that are edible versus not edible. It was very interesting. I loved it.
That's cool. And so you mentioned you're interested in kind of being able to like live abroad after college. How
Mhm.
does this experience, what you studied there, or just the general life experience you gained from this, how does this play into what you want to do? What do you want to do for a career as a chemistry major? What's do you have a career plan in mind?
So I'm very interested in toxicology. I'm in the forensics department at
Okay.
UNT, and so I'm very interested in toxicology, which is another great reason why one of my professors was a toxicologist. That was just amazing to see her in person, experience living in Thailand because Thailand just has so it's just so different than America in some ways, but I think living in Thailand, it really opened my mind. Like I said, I was a bit scared of living abroad because it's easy to think in your head, "Oh, I'm just gonna live everywhere around the world, and I'm gonna travel, and it's gonna be great," but it's another thing doing it, and I was worried about it, but being able to have this experience and live somewhere else, I think it proved to me that I am comfortable living somewhere else. I think that I could make it living somewhere else in the world, and I am so glad that my first opportunity to live somewhere else was through a study abroad program because it did kind of have built-in friends. I was living in an apartment complex with other people that were going to the exchange program. All like people all across the world that were also in an exchange program situation. I was in a line of different apartment complexes, all different apartment complexes and houses filled with students that were studying in Thailand from all around the world. We were all in the same boat. I think it was pretty easy to fall into a group of people because we were all experiencing the same thing. We were all in a new place, navigating it at the same time, and we were able to help each other adjust. And I think that that really helped me settle in and find what I was most comfortable with and kind of push myself out of my comfort zone because I was with people doing the same thing, and it
Hmm.
makes you feel a little bit safer in a way, even
Yeah.
if you're doing something scary, knowing that you do have people there with you.
Yeah, that's great. Can you tell me a little bit more? So you were there for a few months. How many courses did you take, and what was kind of like? I know in some study abroad scenarios, like it's very different than going to school in the U.S. Like I talked to somebody who studied in Spain, and they have like siestas there and stuff like that. Were there any differences in terms of how your day is structured or your schedule like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, so I took 4 classes because the classes there count as 4 hours. The classes are, 2 hours long each.
Mhm.
So a little bit different than here at UNT where classes are like 50 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. All the classes there are 2 hours, like, twice a week, and definitely there is a difference. There's something called Thai time, just because people are very tend to be laid back in Thailand, and so, if your professor is late, it's not really, like, a big thing there because they're running on Thai time. They're kind of doing their own thing, and if they're a little late, it's no big deal. It's not, anything to get upset about. People are just late sometimes, or things run late. Things end, like, early. They just kind of go with their own flow. Even if something has, like, a set start and end time, I wouldn't use it as, like, "It is definitely gonna start and end at this time there in Thailand."
That's great. Obviously, going to Thailand itself is a big trip, but did you get to do any other traveling while you were there to any other surrounding countries or anything like that?
Not to any surrounding countries, but Thailand is much bigger than I originally thought it was, and I did get
Yeah.
to explore several places in the country, and I mean, it's incredible how different South Thailand can be from North Thailand. I mean, it pretty much felt like, at least to me, like I was in a different country. The culture is so different. I mean, they even have different dialects in the North and the South. So I learned more like Central Southern Thai, but I mean, if I went to the North, they use different words. So I was a little lost when I went up there, but
What was the language barrier like for you? Did you pick up on being able to speak some Thai or what was that like?
I knew that I was gonna struggle with Thai when I decided to go. It's a tonal language, which I've never spoken a tonal language. I knew it was gonna be difficult, so I started taking language lessons about 8 months before I actually went, because not everyone in Thailand does speak English. There's definitely a good portion of people that do speak English, but it's not the majority, and because I was going to another country, I thought it was only right that I tried to learn at least a little bit of the language before I went over, so I started about 8 months before, and then I also took a Thai class when I got there, so I think it was definitely better than it, would have been if I hadn't taken anything, but definitely there was a little language barrier, but everyone there was really nice and willing to, like, take the time to understand. I'll say Google Translate probably saved me while I was over there. Um, and I made Thai friends. I made friends that, live there, have lived there their entire life. So they also really helped me navigate around sometimes when I just didn't have the language to communicate what I needed or what I was asking someone.
What was the biggest surprise about your experience?
Ooh, the biggest surprise, let me see. Honestly, everyone was really, really nice. I mean, people just invited you, like, people that you met on the street just invited you places. It was, I thought that Americans kind of had that, American courtesy, and we're very, like, nice, but, I mean, it's nothing compared to over there. People just, like, I mean, they just give you things. Everyone is just so kind and welcoming and just, like, so, like, "Oh, you're near my house, well, I have to give you something right now." Like, it was a little bit of a culture shock how giving everyone was.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was the biggest challenge of the experience, whether it was, academics or, trying to make it all happen or the travel portion? What was the biggest challenge for you?
I would definitely say the language. Like I mentioned, there's a good chunk of people that are fluent in English or know English very well, or at least know a little bit of English, but there is also a lot of people that don't know a lot of English, which is 100% understandable. And my Thai was probably laughable. um, so sometimes I'd say that was the biggest challenge. Me and my friends would be somewhere where there are places in Thailand where people just don't know English.
Mhm.
Again, 100% understandable, but it was a struggle for us, but everyone pretty much was understanding and took the time out to try to understand us or let us type it in our translating apps, but the language was definitely a bit difficult,
Hmm.
but I think it also pushed us to get better at the language while we were there.
Yeah, that's great. What was the best part of your trip?
Wow, the best part of my trip, I mean, there were so many good parts. I loved traveling with my friends. We went to, Krabi. It's this, like, town, right province, it's this province right on the ocean, and it's surrounded by all these little islands.
Mm,
And I think it was $25. We booked a $25 island hopping full day excursion where they took us on this, like, boat, and they took us to 4 different islands, and they provided us lunch, and they let us swim, and I mean, it was some of the most beautiful beaches and nature and, sand and everything that I have ever seen in my entire life, and I got to go with some absolutely phenomenal people who enjoyed it just as much as I did. I mean, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my entire life, getting to explore these places that none of us have seen and get to experience it with together was something almost indescribable. It just something totally new, and we get to experience it together even though maybe we didn't know each other that well, but we got to know each other very well and made great friends out of it, and we have experiences that, are just ours for the rest of our life, and I think that was probably the best part about it. Maybe a long-winded
yeah.
answer, but
No, no, that's great. Yeah, sounds like $25 well spent.
exactly, I mean, it did not hurt that it's pretty cheap to live over there.
Yeah, that's great. You talked about the people you met, kind of learning more about yourself and becoming more independent and kind of figuring out that you can handle things. Is there any one thing that sticks out to you for like how this trip has impacted you beyond the educational experience, whether it's what you learned about or friends you made that you think you'll be in touch with or anything like that?
I definitely think I've made friends for life through this experience, and I think it really gave me a great opportunity to have that independence that I will need later on in life, living in a country, without anyone else that I know and going to school, traveling, juggling everything, making sure I make the grade, I get everything in on time while also enjoying my experience and experiencing new things. It really taught me how to manage my time and figure out what was important day to day and look at not just this entire month ahead of me, but what am I going to do today? What am I going to do this week? It really helped me to kind of narrow down what is important just in the right now rather than looking at, well, I just have to finish school and then I can go do this. It taught me how to combine everything for a good balance.
That's great. What advice would you have for any students who are kind of thinking about study abroad, or but they're not sure if they can, not sure if they can make it happen, or not sure if it's worth it? What advice would you have for them in terms of just is it worth it and how to make it happen?
Do it. Absolutely do it. I mean, I was also on the fence. I was nervous about it because 'cause I'm a junior, I'm going into a senior, and I talked to my advisor and I talked to the study abroad program. No one in the forensics department has studied abroad. There were obstacles like I can't take forensics classes anywhere but UNT, so that narrowed down the classes that I could take and this and that. And even with a couple of obstacles or just some things that maybe narrowed down my choices or this or that, I ended up going to the perfect place for me with the perfect people with the perfect program. And I think that's kind of what study abroad is about. I've talked to some people that did have, some trouble like, "Oh, like I can't go to this place because they don't offer this major, but don't look at just one place. I would definitely say look at all your options. It takes a second, but look at all your options. Narrow down where you want to go. Talk to people. The people at UNT helped me so much. Whenever I thought, "Oh, I don't know if this is right for me," or maybe I just shouldn't do it, like, "Oh, maybe I should just give up on this. Maybe it's not worth it." The people at UNT really helped me figure out what the next step was because it is difficult to know the next step. This is, it's most people's first time studying abroad like
Mm-hmm.
this school, and you're not alone in the process, and you shouldn't feel alone. So I would say use all your resources. Talk to your advisor, talk to the abroad office, email people, email schools that you're thinking about. I emailed some schools abroad directly and I was asked about their programs. Everyone was very willing to talk to me, and that helped so much, and it really helps the process along. And so I think I would just tell anyone thinking about it to do it and to use all your resources.
That's great. Was there anybody in particular in the study abroad office or in your department who was really essential in helping you make this happen?
Mr. Glenn Danielson, he is the study abroad advisor for Asia. The study abroad office has different advisors for specific places in the world, which I think is amazing because they're people that have experience like living in those places and they're very specialized, which is amazing. He helped me so much. I remember there was one like night and he had just started at UNT. There was a switchover in advisors and he had just started and he emailed me and he was like, "Sydney, hi, I'm your new advisor. I'm so sorry, but Mahidun just sent out the application letters and you have to fill it out in 3 days." Like, and it was like midnight and he was like, "Please email me if you need any help. I will be here for you. I know it's last minute and I'm your new advisor, so literally just email me anytime." And he helped me so much in those like last couple of weeks of applying because things once they took off, they went a little fast. They went a little
Yeah.
quickly. And like I said, there was a change of advisors, so Mr. Danielson stepped up real quick and he hit the ground running and he was just there whenever I needed help because at the end, I definitely needed a lot of help figuring everything out. And he was like emailing people for me and he was getting in contact with people at the school and he was an amazing help.
That's great. And then I'm curious, you mentioned looking at different programs and different places. What made you pick Thailand? What was it just the course offerings or was there any particular reason you wanted to go there?
So definitely I looked and I narrowed down to what places had chemistry and biology programs first. And then I don't know, it was just something about it. I think I really wanted to go somewhere that I didn't really know anything about the country. I wanted to go someplace that I didn't have any pre-existing ideas about. I wanted to go somewhere where I could really dive into learning the language and the culture from scratch, I think. I just wanted some place that maybe I would have never chosen to go to before, someplace that was different and pushed me a little bit outside of what I would normally go for, and I think it was the absolute best choice because I don't think that there was any place that would have been better for me personally.
That's great. Last question. Any other fun stories from your trip that you'd like to share?
I mean, there are so many. I highly recommend Thailand. It was just, oh my gosh, it everything is beautiful. Like I said, going to the bottom part of Thailand versus the top is just so insanely different. You go from some of the most beautiful beaches you have ever seen in your entire life to the most lush, beautiful jungle forest area up in the north. It is just absolutely wonderful, and just even right in that area, right where all the apartments are, it was so much fun. There's just such a community, and I mean, they're just so it feels like there's a story every single day. I met new people every single day, and it was just so much fun. I mean, it was just amazing.
Loved getting to talk to Sydney about that study abroad trip and definitely feeling a little bit jealous of that island hopping adventure she got to go on. Remember, folks, you can let us know what you think of the show by emailing podcast@unt.edu or calling us at 940-565-4341. You can also help us get more listeners by telling a friend about the show, sharing it on social media, or leaving us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Until next time, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas, and go Mean Green. Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show is produced and edited by Scott Brown with original reporting by Scott Brown. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcast.